good morning to the attendees in person who are on location in Atlanta at Kennesaw State University. Good afternoon and good evening to our viewers or listeners or conference attendees from across the globe. This is the third year that TIEMS organizes its conference via either online or hybrid means. We started in 2020 and 2021 when the French chapter of our organization hosted the conference. So far this week, we have heard quite a lot of really exciting and interesting presentations on various aspects of cutting-edge technologies, emergency management, and also with respect to practical applications in the field. Today, the first session will deal with the two research projects that TIEMS is a partner in, and these are FireRes and FireLog. We will have presenters from who are members of the consortium, along with TIEMS participants. And for that, I'm going to hand over to Harald Dreger, who is TIEMS president and who will also be the chairperson for the first panel discussion. Harald, over to you.
Thank you, Roman. Thank you for the nice introduction. And hello, everybody. It's 8:30 here in Atlanta. But I believe we have people from all over the globe, as Roman said, and I won't spill any more time. I will share my screen, so tell you about what we are talking about today. As I said earlier in the conference, we had teams are quite heavy participating in research projects in the European Union. And at the moment, we are engaged in 3 projects. We presented Impetus, which is about the resilient cities. Yesterday, we presented our own certification, which we have financed ourselves. And today is ready for the 2 next projects which we participate in. Both are about wildfires. And for those who follow the news, they know that this summer was quite hot on wildfires, not only in Europe, but also other places in the world. So this is a hot topic. And these are interesting projects. They are both related. They interrelate with each other, which you will find out of the presentations today. I put it in. Yeah, I think that's the right mode. I hope all see this. And we will start with FireRes. And we have long titles, so I will read the title. Innovative Technologies, Ecological, Economic Solutions for Fire-Resilient Territories in Europe. And the other project is FireLog, and it's cross-sector dialogue for wildfire risk management. And from the presentation today, you will see that the FireLog are actually publishing and using the result of the FireRes project and some other projects in wildfires in Europe. We start with FireRes, and we have 3 speakers, and they will tell about the project and some terms which is important, like living labs, innovation actions, and impacts and indicators. This will be presented by Anthony Trasobares, Andrea Duan, and Jordi Garcia Gonzalo. Sorry for my bad pronunciation of your names, but they are all from CTFC in Spain. And this is Science for Forest Management, Biodiversity, and Bioeconomy. So I take the other one, and when that is presented, we will have a QA session, and I ask all of you to put your questions in the QA chat. After that, we will go into the FireLog project, and the project leader of FireLog is Claudia Berthold from Fraunhofer in Germany. And she will give an overview of the project, so you see how it's related to FireRes, but also what we focus on. And I picked out two things which I feel is very important of the FireLog project, namely a presentation of the working groups, and we have picked out we have 4 working groups, but I picked out the one from civil protection, which TIEMS is responsible for. And we will then tell about the focus and expected outcome. And Jean-Paul Monet, who from France, who is TIEMS regional director for Europe, will do the presentation. And the last presentation of FireLog will tell about the FireLog Wildfire Knowledge and Communication Platform by Maritza Cascara from Greece. And then we will also have a QA session. But since all of them are on, and I like them to stay up in the panel, we will then also try to see how they interlink. Without more introduction, and please, those who present, also tell about where you are and your company more than I have introduced you. So with that, I go, and I like Anthony to take the floor.
So I will make an introduction to FireRes, the initial part of our presentation. First of all, I really want to thank our colleagues from TIEMS for inviting us to this event. I think it's a very, very good occasion for telling about that project and for listening as well what others are doing and are working on. Okay, so I go for it. I will first make this overview about our project. I'm Anthony Trasovares, the coordinator of the project. Next, Andrea will tell about innovation actions that we are developing. And finally, my colleague Jordi Garcia Gonzalo will as well tell about very important aspect, as you know, which are about the expected impacts and indicators to monitor those impacts in our project. Okay, so about the project and about the main challenge of this project, as you know, extreme wildfire events exceeding control capacities are becoming a major environmental, economic, and social threat across the world. When we talk with different experts about that, we conclude that only maximizing or optimizing suppression capacities is not enough by far. We need to work on the landscapes and on the landscapes resilience, and that is the main vector, the main component of our project, together with others that we will try to explain in coming minutes. So with 11 living labs, our project aims to implement an integrated fire management approach and support the transition towards more resilient landscapes and communities to extreme wildfire events. This is a 4-year project coordinated by us, Forest Science and Technology Center of Catalonia. It is an innovation action from Horizon 2020 Green Deal call. It was a big achievement, and to obtain to lead this project. It is a 4-year project, and it's a large one, as you may see, 21.5 million euros. So about the objectives. First, to set the definition of extreme wildfire events, of this concept, and use it as the main axis to address the challenge ahead. I mean, everyone working on this topic or close to it may have more or less a rough idea on how to define these extreme wildfire events, but this is still an ongoing issue. And in our project, jointly with other projects that the Commission has financed, and after we can see with colleagues in Firelocks, we are working on defining what we consider an extreme wildfire event, as well much work on this resilient landscape concept when we take it from a holistic, multidimensional point of view. Second, to develop, demonstrate, and deploy innovations at the technological, social, health, administrative, and ecological and economic levels. So our project is based on innovations which are implemented in this set of 11 living labs. Third, to integrate and upscale results from the niche level innovations locally in these living labs across and Europe and beyond. This is one of a very important part as well. So how can we take all these experiences in this broad array of living labs we are working in Europe and beyond, because we have one in Chile, as I will show, and we may upscale this towards administration, the European Commission, private sector, etc. And fourth, to raise societal awareness about extreme wildfires and transfer enabling knowledge to stakeholders. This is as well, of course, a very important objective. About this main approach, I was telling you, we are focusing on this resilience of landscapes and about this integrated fire management approach. So we consider integrated fire management as a planning and operational approach that includes social, economic, cultural, and ecological dimensions. Its objective is to minimize the damage caused by wildfires and maximize its benefits, and to move towards an integrated fire management approach. Our project adopts 4 main pillars. We are working on extreme wildfires behavior and drivers, as well on landscapes and economy. I mean, it's not only about the physical environment, climate conditions, and emergency factors, but as well what are the drivers for creating and maintaining a landscape, so economy and social. Emergency management, of course, it takes a very important role, and as well governance, society, communication, and risk awareness. As I told you, the main component for the development of this project are 34 innovation actions. After my introduction, my colleague Andrea will tell you in more detail about these innovations. So based on these 4 pillars, FireRes will develop 34 innovation actions that will allow the integration of the fire management measures for prevention and preparedness, detection and response, and restoration and adaptation. So these three main phases, which are in this integrated fire management approach, are, I told you, considered always in an interactive manner. So when we think about prevention, we are as well thinking what can be a good way for making easier response. And when we are designing or working on prevention in landscape, we are as well in connection and thinking in this other restoration and adaptation. So this is as well an important part of integrated fire management. And these innovation actions will be deployed and tested in, as I said, these 11 living labs. Something more about these living labs, you can see it's a broad gradient across Europe. So from here in Spain, in Catalonia, in Galicia, in Portugal, and in Spain as well, Canary Islands. But we are as well across the Mediterranean, Sardinia, Greece, then we in Eastern Europe, Bulgaria, and as well through the Atlantic axis. So in Aquitaine, in Bordeaux, Central Europe, with Germany, Netherlands, and as well the case in Nordic countries. For instance, there were some relevant fires in Sweden a few years ago. And as I told you, in Chile, a relevant living lab as well, and taking advantage of all studies and all data that related to fires, for instance, in 2017. These living labs are considered as open innovation ecosystems, which bring together public and private actors and dedicated to the demonstration and deployment of innovative solutions, which as well, in addition to these public and private companies, actors, as well involve, of course, scientific communities and citizen associations. About our approach, as I have been explaining, very much on this landscape level. As you can see as well, these three phases of the management cycle, which are considered interactively, and you can see an array of innovations taking place in these landscapes, in these living labs. So from Earth observation data and providing high-resolution data for prevention or for real-time management of fires, improved equipment for firefighters, economic drivers, the wildfire urban interface or fire resilient buildings, governance, this preparedness, and as well much, and we are in this Green Deal approach from the European Commission, much focus as well on natural capital conservation and restoration. How are we organized? You can see there is a work package one, who is setting the basis, the concept, for instance, on extreme wildfire events definitions, resilient landscape definitions, and provides this integrated approach, this feedback for development of adaptive territorial management that is about landscape design, analysis in work package 2, about economic drivers towards fire resilient landscapes in work package 3, proactive governance. This as well very much high importance engaged to the communities and culture of risk in work package 4, and as well a quite a relevant technology component with big and advanced companies in advanced technologies and equipment. This is all deployed in these living labs I explained to you, which are coordinated in a specific work package. And once all this has been deployed and developed, then we have the challenge to upscale that, to do this fast track to innovation and exploitation program and create this hub, this meeting platforms for administrations, for companies, for different stakeholders to take advantage of these innovations. Of course, communication, dissemination, engagement with the stakeholders is as well a crucial component. No need to tell about the coordination of such a big project, which is a big challenge that we take with enthusiasm, and it's been a very, very interesting development so far here in CTFC, and of course of relevance these ethics requirements in a project like this one. And finally, well, it's just a final view about innovation actions. We are working on 34, so you can see on the restoration and adaptation fire management cycle phase 20 are focusing, are related to that, and 21 are related to detection and response, and 43% on prevention and preparedness. So innovation actions they have to do, they are working and related to more than one of these management cycle phases, because as we said, this integrated fire management approach considers them interactively. And well, you can see that this development of these innovations is divided in all the set of partners in our project. You can have a quick look now in next slide, and of course are as well being implemented in a more or less proportional way to the different living labs. And about the consortium, about the partners, so we find science research institutes, universities such as us, INRAE, Wageningen University, but then we have relevant private companies such as Airbus or Tecnosilva taking care of technology developments, but we have regional and state administrations in Spain and in Portugal. And from the response part, of course, we have civil protection bodies, and we have firefighters, for instance, here in Catalonia, in Portugal. Some international organizations. So really a broad array of institutions and different stakeholders, which we believe really provide potential to this project. And now, pleased to give the floor to Andrea. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. You don't hear me, I guess. So I will share my screen. Okay, so as Tony said, after this excellent presentation, I'm going to present in more detail some of the innovation actions that we are developing. Well, again, my name is Andrea Duin. I'm a postdoc researcher, and I'm for part of the coordination team of FIRES. I'm located here in Solsona in Spain. And of course, you're welcome. We'll have very nice weather today, but it's a very, very nice place. So the innovation actions, or innovative actions, as we say as well, are like specific products of innovation in different fields of the wildfire management. And today, what I'm not going to do is to present the whole 34 innovation actions, because there are a lot of them, but some of the most relevant ones, and clustered by different topics. So first of all, in terms of extreme wildfire event, what's an extreme wildfire event, what kind of knowledge we have, and which kind of tools we are developing for specific extreme wildfire events. There are two innovation actions that I want to highlight, which are the piloting early warning indicators of extreme wildfire events, incorporating fire weather and vegetation conditions, led by NDRI. This innovation action will develop novel fire forecasting systems focusing on extreme wildfire events, and these are understood as those that exceed certain burnt area of fire relative powers, operating on a daily basis and focus on the Euro-Mediterranean scale. Testing key inputs of atmospheric data analysis using new knowledge and expertise of extreme wildfire events. So the point here is that one of the main elements that drive extreme wildfire events are high temperatures and stable atmospheres, and allow prior convection processes. So this innovation action aims to settle the methods to analyze all the meteorological conditions, not only at the surface level, but also in vertical structure of the atmosphere. Then we have some innovation actions in the field of technology for wildfire response, and some of them are shown here. The first one is demonstration of real extreme wildfire elevation simulation and smoke spread based on coupled fire atmosphere approaches using high-resolution weather data. This innovation action is led by TecnoSilva and CNRS. And the idea is to improve fire modeling systems to more accurately estimate extreme wildfire event behavior, and as of course the impact of these extreme wildfire events and direct losses. It will integrate data and create outputs to assess smoke progression and fire behavior, since it would be coupled with an atmospheric model, as the one you can see here. Second innovation action is testing vertical atmospheric structure models based on satellite constellation in extreme wildfire events. This is led by Aspire. Aspire is a technology enterprise dedicated to satellite and weather services. The technology they are developing consists on providing data from radio occultation with data from GNSS and their 100 nanosatellites. So this technology detects the state of the atmosphere by reading changes in radio signals that it passes through the planet atmosphere. So it's refracted. So from this, they can read the vertical atmosphere. In FIRES, the idea of this radio occultation is to provide surface and up to 20,000 meters the weather forecast in the places where the living labs are operating, and to help to anticipate changes and dynamics that may lead to pyrocumulonimbus. The Catalan Cartographic Institute will be working on advanced vegetation characterization based on Earth observation data fusion and artificial intelligence over forest landscapes. So at the end, we will map forest field conditions, water content parameters, changes, tendencies, moisture post-fire scenarios, etc., using Earth observation data. And as well, there's an innovation action about prototyping HAPS, high-altitude pseudo-satellites. and the contribution to Europe resilience against extreme wildfire events. And with this, I want to show you an example. This is the example of these innovation actions, a bit more information because it's quite interesting. So Airbus is developing these instruments that operate at the stratosphere level. So when we work with wildfires and observation, we have the surface layer where we have drones. We have the troposphere layer where we have the airplanes, which are a bit expensive and sometimes difficult to operate. At the orbital level, we have the satellite polar systems that they have a global coverage, but that cannot be focused at a single place. And what Airbus is proposing is to operate with these instruments that operate at the stratosphere and have a great coverage and persistence over a single places. So it's adding a new Earth observation layer here. So they can persist in the same location 24 hours, 7 days a week. And this instrument weighs 75 kilos, has 25 meters of wingspan, and it takes 8 hours to reach the stratosphere. Operates, as I said, at the stratosphere level, at 20 kilometers above sea level. And the goal is that they can be flying for 100 days because they rely 100% on solar power, and they can operate both at day and night. They travel approximately like 2,000 kilometers per day. So the idea is that these devices provide new services for wildfires as fire detection in some places, monitoring like the progression of the fire, but also they can provide connectivity services to the crews and the operational system. And of course, it's needed after the fire. The good thing is that they don't interfere with the aerial traffic of fire extinction. And this device called Tefir, together with the sensor called OPAS, it has been proven successfully in the United States. And in fires, what we are going to do is to simulate the fleet of these instruments in order to see the capability to provide a service at the Mediterranean level of Europe. We cannot go further north in latitude because there's a limitation on the technology because of solar charging power in high latitudes, but the idea is to simulate the capability at the Mediterranean level. More innovations we have here is the prevention at the landscape scale. As Tony said, landscape is very important and in fires. So there are 3 innovation actions that we want to show here. The first one is designing a strategic networks of managed areas to improve suppression efforts against extreme wildfire events. So by setting a network of areas where intense full management is recommended, it will be possible to facilitate the work for firefighters. The other one is optimizing landscape configuration and fire management policies to minimize expected losses from extreme wildfire events, led by the University of Aegean. And they will combine a first bed model with a landscape treatment prioritization system, aiming to predict extreme wildfire events and design risk mitigation plans. And as well, we have the analysis of trade-off of ecosystem services assessment of fire resilient landscape design. So the output, this is led by ESA, and the output will be is to disclose the bundles of ecosystem services that can become affected positively or negatively by the design of pre- and post-fire management actions. Management in fires is consists both at the landscape level, but as well at the more stand level. So we will be also having some specific actions and innovations at the management of the stands. The first one is led by CNR, which is scheduling and implementing novel management practices. In this case, the potential use of byproducts in the energy market, that is circular bioeconomy. So it's designing and field testing work systems combining the goals of preventive civil culture, so fuel reduction for fire prevention, with the maximum value recovery of biomass and timber. And similarly, the idea also is to test the agricultural conversion practice to crop or fruitland. This is led by the Agronomy Institute on Catalonia. So they will assess the suitability of land use change from forest to agricultural woody crops in mountain areas, creating barriers against the spread of fire and diversifying economy in rural areas. CTFC is also leading the action demonstration of innovative post-fire restoration and adaptation strategies. So this innovation will focus on allocating priorities for post-fire restoration actions on these burnt areas, with the idea of ensuring future ecosystem services provision, facilitating the evolution of better adapted landscapes to future fires, etc. And finally, in this sense, we will be also working with prescribed burns as a way of management. So we will compile a portfolio of well-documented prescribed burning experiences for the scientific assessment of the medium and long term of ecosystem services and demonstration of different techniques of prescribed burns. As Tony said, we are not only worried about how to manage the landscape, but how this can be feasible. So we have a work package about the economics of this prevention, and we highlight here 3 innovative actions. The first one is financial incentives for fire-resilient landscape measures. And the idea is that this activity will design and demonstrate the feasibility of mechanisms to develop economic compensation measures and schemes that can reward the provision of ecosystem services when doing fire management for those who are doing fire management. So it's everything is about cost, so it includes a full analysis of cost, etc. Mitiga Solutions, also a company in fire risk, will provide parametric solutions for insurance products. So you know that this is also a hot topic in wildfires. So this innovation action aims at designing and testing a specialized wildfire parametric insurance product to allow for a more efficient payout and claim resolution schemes for the whole Europe. And finally, there's this Fire Wine, engaging wineries in maintaining fire resilient territories through a label, also led by CTFC, in which we will analyze feasibility of mechanisms to stimulate and mobilize cross-sector collaboration. So we will pilot the development of a fire wine label, recognizing wineries' involvement in improving fire resilience for the winery and their surrounding forested territories. I think I have two more groups, okay? This one is the society. There's a lot of innovation in fire risk also around governance and risk awareness. And these are some of the innovative actions that we're dealing with here. The first one is defining recommendations for improving security on wildland urban interface at multiple scales. This is led by CNRS. And we propose to give recommendations for the plant arrangement around the buildings, like curate zones, distance between plants, building and plants, and the choice of openings, so the windows, the doors, etc., in this kind of buildings. We will also pilot a fire waste planning platform and conceptualization tool led by CTFC. So we will work in a platform that will include wildfire assessment information adapted to land planners as architects, urbanists, etc., in order to facilitate the integration of wildfire risk in this kind of territorial planning. ESA is leading the fire education platform. So the idea is to have an immersive tool for policymakers, schools, and families. So to create an educational platform for politicians, influencers, community influencers, teachers, students, and families to better understand different fire cultures, traditional use of fire, fire risk, fire behavior, fire ecology, etc., etc. And finally, in this topic, we will be also working at policy clinics. So testing regional level policy clinics for inclusive and coherent fire smart risk governance. This is led by the European Forest Institute. The aim is to speed the adaptation of innovation at the policy level, identifying barriers, dysfunctions, inconsistencies for a successful policy implementation. And finally, my last slide is about emergency management, which I'm sure you will be very interested for the context of this conference. We are having we have more, but these are 4 of the innovation actions. The first one is quantifying impacts of exposure to air pollutants from wildfire. And this is led by TRESIC and ForestWide. This action has 3 main goals. The first of all, to monitor smoke plume progression and impacts on air quality, more like at the ambient, the outdoors. This will be done during a fire that will be occurring during the project's lifetime. Second one is to model a smoke plume progression with an atmospheric dispersion model and its possible impacts. And the third one is to monitor the impact of smoke on human exposure, mostly to firefighters. So we will put some sensors during prescribed burns to evaluate this exposition. Second innovation action here is prototyping and testing innovative tools for Extreme Wildfire Event Incident Command System Training Certificate. This is led by the Escola Nacional de Bombeiros in Portugal and the Catalan Fire and Rescue Service. So the end is providing new tools, equipments, and methodologies for incident commanders and fire analysts in front of extreme wildfire events. And here we will do a pilot training and also some replicates across Europe. Finally, the two last innovation actions are led by TIEMS. I'm sure you know them very well. The first one is testing an interoperability evaluation tool. So the goal is to develop a very simple evaluation tool for the civil protection mechanism of the European Union for monitor this. And the idea is to rate the quality and efficiency of interoperability during a civil protection operation when first responders of at least 2 countries are involved to monitor this mechanism. And finally, having a demonstration of strategies and tools for mass communication to citizens. So the objective is to set up a framework to communicate to citizens in a trustworthy, smart, and efficient way during the same emergency. So that's all. I give the floor to my colleague, Jordi.
Okay, so I'll present only 3 slides. It's about expected impacts and indicators. So basically, the European Union, they have proposed a set of targets for the different projects and studying the fires. So here there is this list that they proposed: is 0 fatalities from wildfires, 50% reduction of less accidental fire emissions, 55% reduction in emissions from wildfires, less than 24 hours to control any extreme and harmful wildfire, then 25% increase in the surface area of prescribed fire treatments at the European Union level, 90% of losses from wildfires insured, 50% reduction in building losses, and 50% of Natura 2000 protected areas to be fire resilient. So basically, we have these targets, and what we have to do is to measure the impact of our projects to arrive to this or to contribute to achieve these targets. So we have proposed a list of indicators on how to measure the impact of our project. Then we have for each of the innovation actions, we have proposed a way to measure this impact, and then we can with this we will be able to predict or to see the impact of everything that we have done in the project to achieve these targets. And so on top of that, we will check the impact of our project not only in these targets set by the European Union, but also we want to measure the impact on other different aspects from the project. So here is just to show that we have different work packages, as explained before by Tony. We have this in work package 1, an integrated approach to extreme wildfire events, adaptive territorial management, economic drivers towards fire resilient landscapes, proactive governance engaged. So different work packages, they focus in different aspects, and of course they have different impacts, or they contribute differently to achieve these targets set by the European Union. This is just this is not a completely accurate analysis of the real impact of the work packages, but it's just a first guess on how they will contribute to this. And then we know that you already know that FireRest does not operate alone in the field of the forest fires. It's necessary to collaborate with other projects to maximize the results. And that's the reason why FireRest is engaged in a group of sister projects where FireLog, Sylvanus, Dryas, and Fire EU-RISK. So that's all that I wanted to say from this impact assessment.
Thank you all, Anthony, Andrea, and Jordi. And for those of you now listening in, you probably understand that it's not only a matter of that you see smoke and fires and firefighters fighting the fire. This is high technology, and it implies changing the landscape, get awareness of how to behave, and it's a very ambitious project. We have one question in the chat. Let's take that one first. It's from Robert Smalley. He says, is this research mostly based for European wildfires, or could it work in other countries such as US, Canada, and Australia?
So as you could see, we are implementing the project in a broad array of conditions across Europe, but as well, for instance, in Chile. You could see we have a relevant living lab in Chile. And I believe of course, there may be some specifically regional aspects of living labs, but I believe in general the type of innovations and solutions we may propose, they can be implemented globally. That's the way I see it, because, well, at least for instance, all the information we are taking advantage from satellites, from all the new technologies and higher resolution info. And so all this technology, no doubt, it's global. And big share of the rest, I believe, they can be extrapolated to other regions. I don't know, Andrea, perhaps you wish to add some more here, but that's my view. Thank you.
Yes, Tony, I mean, it's totally like this. I'm sure that some of the developments will be possible to transpose it to other regions. And as well, we are also having the lessons learned from these other regions. We had a workshop at the beginning of the year in which we were having the experiences from other countries. So we are also doing this exercise. The goal is to provide the European Union the capacity to not collapse in front of wildfires, but some of the results will be for sure transposable to these other regions, as you were mentioning, like US, Canada, or Australia.
Yes, thank you. We have no other question in the chat, but and we, in order to keep time, I like to go on to dialogue. But Andrea, Anthony, and Jordi, please stay at the end of the project. So we now introduce Claudia. She will tell about Firelog and the relation, how we also use the results of the FireRest project. Claudia, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot for the invitation, and I'm happy to give you an introduction to the Firelog project. So it's also a 4-year project, and the first year is almost completed. It has received funding under the Green Deal call, and it is a coordination and support action. So as compared to FireRes, one of the big innovation actions, our project is a tiny one. So as you can see, it's a 3 million project. And basically the idea that the Commission had when funding the project was to have a dedicated project that facilitates the support and the finding of synergies across these big projects. So we do not really conduct research ourselves, but we try to bring the innovation actions, the projects together that are funded under this call, and to support them and to synergize their activities. We are a consortium of 15 partners from across Europe, and here you see the projects that have already been mentioned. So here you see the FireRest project, and then there are 2 other ones that have received funding under the same call, but each of the projects has a slightly different focus. And then we have FireRisk, which is another European project that has that is a bit ahead. It has been funded on a different call, and that's also a major project. I think they have received about 10 million euros to, and we also try to integrate their findings and build on their results. Yeah, what are our goals? So basically, we try to create spaces for dialogue. So to bring together existing knowledge, facilitate knowledge sharing formats, try to bring stakeholders together, linking experience and best practices. But we also try to integrate the findings. So we believe that one of the main aims of the project is to develop policy recommendations at the European level, and that these recommendations have to come from a multi-actor perspective. So we are creating different content-related working groups, looking at environmental aspects, looking at insurance aspects, looking at infrastructure aspects of wildfire risk management. And between these different stakeholders and different measures they are implementing, there can be synergies contributing to holistic strategies, but there can also be conflicting aims. So we are trying to, through dialogue, trying to understand these conflicts and to deconstruct them in order to focus on the measures that create synergies. Overall, FILOC has sort of a double layer structure, let's see. So we are trying to facilitate the strategic cooperation between the projects that I've mentioned. And here you see some of the topics that we are working on. So one topic is research integration, for example, to align the project structures of the projects, if you like, or to facilitate an understanding which projects are doing what and when, and what are mutual topics where the research can develop synergies. One topic is case study collaboration. So as you have seen from the FIRES project, they have a big range of living labs. Other projects have case studies. And so to facilitate the collaboration across these case studies and facilitate the sharing of insights. And then we have the impact assessment that has already been mentioned. So the question is, in how far do the measures or the innovations that are developed in the projects actually create impact on the ground? How do they contribute towards the Green Deal targets? What is the scalability of the measures? So can we implement certain innovations in different geographic contexts, political contexts, and so on? And this is the second layer. This is really the knowledge integration and the development of recommendations at the European level. And here you see the thematic working groups that we are trying to establish, trying to bring together the content experts from the projects to agree on the recommendations in the end, so in 4 years from now. And to give you maybe a better understanding also on the activities that we are implementing, one of the first things we did was trying to do stakeholder clustering across the projects. Since each of the projects clusters their stakeholders slightly different, and we try to align that to have an understanding what are the actual target communities and where are there overlaps in the clustering of these target communities between the projects. Then we are also developing a roadmap at the moment. So we're trying to develop a document where the projects agree on the measures that they want to implement jointly over the next couple of years. We have kicked that off in a digital event earlier this year. So where we worked and tried to understand what are the project needs really, what do they want to do, and how can we be of help. Yeah, we are also developing a platform that builds on a platform of one of our partners that's already existing related with wildfire risk management. And one of the main goals is to facilitate or to boost, let's say, the dissemination and exploitation of the innovations that are designed in the innovation action. So try to have a central place where they can promote their solutions, let's say, but also to share knowledge and have a library, have a central place, let's say, where knowledge can be accessed. And then we have the impact assessment. You have already seen the expected impacts that was shown in the last presentation, so such as 0 fatalities for 2030. And we are working on 4 key activities here. So one is to first contextualize the feasibility of these targets. And the idea is in the short term to have a joint publication to contextualize these targets and to have a joint voice, let's say, towards our assessment of the feasibility of these targets. And then we want to bring the projects together to work on these aspects that have also been mentioned in the previous presentation as to how can we actually assess the impact of certain measures on the ground. Can we find potentially a joint or a harmonized methodology that is feasible, that can be implemented in the projects jointly, let's say, since when each of the projects develops its own methodology, then we cannot really compare the results. So that's the third point, actually develop a joint understanding of how can we actually compare the results, and how can we boost the impact of the developed solutions, how can we assess the scalability, let's say, of the solutions, and the contribution towards the targets that the Commission has defined. So to come to an end of my presentation, just a brief outlook. As mentioned, we are co-developing a research integration roadmap together with the innovation actions. We are currently setting up the thematic working groups that are in the long run to design the EU policy recommendations, for example, related to the common agricultural policy, to the EU forestry strategy, but also to civil protection policies. And finally, co-developing currently the shared impact assessment approach. So thanks a lot for the opportunity, Harold, for the invitation today. And since I have two more colleagues from the project, I'm ending here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Claudia. And we will go on then to present what we are responsible for in the FireLog project. I just mentioned, and Anthony also showed it, and Andrea, that we are leading work package 4 in the FireEdge project. And Jean-Paul, who is coming on now, he is also our responsible project leader for VP4 and also for the working group on civil protection in FireLog, which he is now going to present. So the floor is yours, Jean-Paul. Good to see you.
Good morning, good afternoon for everybody. When I see the Green Deal core objectives for 2030, as a responder, I'm always afraid by such level of demanding KPIs, but we will try to manage to do our best. What I will present now is just an illustration of one of the 4 working groups. As you can discover here, I said 4 and it's 5, yes. And you see there are 4 thematic strands to be tackled by each group. So it's this matrix sounds a little bit tricky and complex, but I will go on to give you the point of view of TIEMS, which is managing the civil protection working group, and how will we proceed and how we will try to gather all the information coming from the IAS group that Claudia presented in her talk. The objectives are to check technological challenges, of course. On the other hand, some economics issues about policy management to be a little bit global, because there are fighting, there is forestry, there is resilient cities. So all that has an economic impact, especially when you regard towards the losses and the insurances. And for sure, what is new, what is novelties to approach and to fight against Wi-Fi, but also having the best practices in prevention, not only in the fight. So it's a very global scope, because the 4 IAS group are somehow a little bit different. Some are more focused on prevention, other ones on technologies, other one on forestries, other one are global, such as FireEdge. The chance of TIEMS is to be in 2 groups, to be in the CSA, the supporting group, managing group of FireLog, but also having some actions in the FireEdge presented by Anthony and his team. What are the key topics we foresee for this tool? Because it's just a starting project, and we have just defined our needs, but it will last until 25, as you might have seen in the previous talk. And what is the key topics we identify for civil protection working groups? For sure, it's more dedicated to civil protection responders. For example, there is a working group on insurances. For sure, this working group will be more focused on economic issues. And civil protection working group will speak about risk assessment. When I speak about risk assessments, I mentioned previously regarding meteorological forecast, fuel rawness, and season, how drought is the season, and also risk assessment during the early stages of the fire to envisage the evolution of the fire. Also, we will focus on planning and training, which is somehow what we could say preparedness in a global wording, but maybe also in United States and in other parts of the world that Europe wants to enhance its knowledge circulation and training. We will, of course, try to help the society to be more resilient toward wildfire, because now we have this issue of climate change and there is large spreading of the wildfire risk in the whole Europe. And some years ago, 10 years ago, it was not a real danger for Northern or Europe. And now Northern Europe is involved, is facing to wildfires. Also, we will tackle to organization command and control issues. We don't have the FEMA in Europe, so we have much to do. Logistic issues also is usually integrated in command and control practices. Critical infrastructures and urban interface protection, which is also very bound to economic issues. And of course, we will try to develop, as Andrea said, some interoperability to bridge the gaps between the different civil protection forces in Europe, because it's all countries and the interoperability is not at the best, to be honest. And also this issue about real-time communication during the fight, during the operation, and when the risk is here. So I don't want to be too long, but how do we will build this group in picking up, cherry picking in the IA projects, the expert of responding issues, person depending or working in civil protection. This will give around 12 active experts, but also the chance of TIEMS is having a very wide international network, meaning we can associate some experts from South Africa, thanks to Roman, and also to United States for sure, and Canada, because we also have a network in Canada with fire services. And also we have a very important expert which is involved with us, which is Australian. And we have also all these overseas opinions, and we will be influenced by the best practices in these countries too. But we have to answer to the production to IA. Firelog is not built to develop its own R&D. Firelog is dedicated to market, to synthesize and promote the results of the IAs. So I don't want to be too long. I didn't show the timing, but to conclude, clearly the European Commission has a big wish to increase the interoperability between the countries. When what we call in Europe European Civil Protection Mechanism is activated, it is a cross reinforcement and the joint action of the civil protection forces in Europe. So right now it works since 20 years, but there is a gap to bridge now because the increasement of the operation develop this need of being better. Of of course, to do that, there is a huge need of exchange the knowledge through maybe repositories, through workshops, through trainings. So that will be probably one of the main outcomes of FireLog. And for sure, there is always this core idea of all the R&D projects funded by European Commission. It is to promote the new things, to help the projects to be developed, especially with technologies, but not only. And also practices, very simply, because there is in Europe some practices who are done in Spain and not in Norway. And there is always this idea to promote the novelties to better respond. And also what I mean when I say integrative vision to develop at the benefit of policymakers is that some person may oppose this idea against this idea. But for example, prevention against fight, using counter fire or tactic fire against putting out the fight. And of course, in some situation, you have to choose, but the main idea will be to give a kind of toolbox, because a strategic leader don't avoid any solution. He has to agglomerate and to practice to use the good solution at a good place. So the idea is to have this global vision and to give the arguments to take this one or this one in such a situation. So that will be a huge task, a big challenge for FireLog, but we will do our best to respond to the wishes of the commissions and to put all these things at the end for the responders to be used. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jean-Paul. And we have one more presentation by Maritza Cascara. She will go into practicality of the platform we are developing in FireLog. The floor is yours, and please put questions in the Q&A and we will answer them. I see there has been a dialogue with Claudia, but we take them after Maritza's presentation. Floor is yours, Maritza.
Thank you for the opportunity to have us here and to present the FireLog platform. That is now a work in progress, actually. We will have a first launch, I think, this year, but we are going to make it more and more better the next years to come with your, of course, feedback and contribution. So today's structure of the presentation, I will main briefly the goal and the objective of the platform, then the idea behind the platform structure. After that, we'll analyze the prioritized function to be developed now in the first draft, and then some further developments and next step. And finally, we'll present the sustainability that we would like to achieve. So FireLog's platform's goal is to inform the general public by keeping the whole WFRM wildfire risk management community up to date with fire-related news from around the globe. Also, we want to engage all interested stakeholders through the use of the platform, empower the community by providing incentives, exchange good practices, adopt safety rules, develop new tools, etc. Create new collaborations, not only between the three innovation actions that we're talking today, but also among all the relevant fire projects and people in the community. Connect scientists, institutes, and projects, and in order to exchange, information and knowledge in the broader scope. So more specifically, the objectives of the platform are to promote the use of other fire-related EU platforms. We're going to call it a platform hub, provide access to a huge knowledge repository to the community. It's a library. Then give the opportunity to the whole community to get informed about new publications, articles, standard operation procedures, and available technologies through the measures and the technology mall that we're going to have. Then link the community with all the available EU dissemination tools and portals. We call it dissemination booster. keep the community up to date, as we said, to give them the opportunity to the whole community to promote events, project results, etc. through our news and events section. And last but not least, provide information for all WFRM related case studies. In this slide, we present the basic structure of the platform, which consists actually of 4 basic pillars. So firstly is the hub of existing platforms feature, which include 2 main features. The library that will contain the relevant publication papers and articles, plus the platform hub I mentioned before, which is connection between existing platforms. Then we do have the networking feature, which includes fire-related news from the globe, a calendar with fire-related events, and potentially a sci-phase matching tool for communication between scientists. The third feature is the knowledge management and communication, which includes the dissemination booster, which will contain information about existing EU platforms. They exist, these platforms, they're coming from EU, and they help all the projects to disseminate project results and get the project involved in awards and other communication EU services. The second one is the technology marketplace, which is a virtual agora for first responders, civilians, decision makers, scientists, etc. And it will contain the results of the innovation actions, research, and case studies. And the goal is to create an easy to access, let's say, marketplace where the user can find a variety of services and solutions related to wildfires. Then it comes the WFRM measures, which will contain information about regarding different WFRM actors, approaches, measures, strategies, and best practices. Then we'll have the case studies, which is a map that will be created on the platform, and I'm going to show you what we will display later on. And the last but not least will be a Wikifire that through this we will provide to the community a common understanding of some fire-related terms, for example, terminologies like what is a wildfire, what is a fire effect, an escape route, etc. Other functionalities will be a help desk, which will just have a contact form and a frequently asked question as necessary. So from all the above mentioned functionalities, we have started developing these 4 ones: the library, the platform hub, events, news, and case studies. So the first function that we have already started developed is the library, starting, as Claudia mentioned before, from the Lessons on Fire platform that is already a database. The FireLog library will contain existing as well as new publication articles, papers, fire reports, as well as user manual for fire technologies. So we aim to create a repository of knowledge that anyone can access and will allow registered user to also upload what they think they want to upload. Also, the user will have the option to make their own research, searching by authors, title, publications, country, year, and also phase of fire. That means prevention, detection, and restoration. Next function is the platform hub. The platform hub is actually a page dedicated to existing platforms, presenting their main features and providing linkages. The main idea for this page is to offer the basic information of such existing platforms and make it easier for a user to find them in a space of collective information. The function of uploading a platform will be also available to registered user. So if you hold, for example, an early warning system through a platform, you can just go in and submit a new platform and make it publish and advertise it to everyone. Next section is the news section, which will provide the following possibilities: presenting ongoing wildfire events, presenting related articles and papers published, as well as the project news, such as participation of FireLog, FireS, and all the other innovation actions to meetings, events, and conferences, including all the records and publications referring to FireLog and all the other innovation actions, which have been published to newspapers or other public channels, including press releases published by anyone. And also this section aims to include all the annual newsletters that will be produced by the innovation actions. Next section is the events. So regarding the event section, this section will present onto a calendar all the events organized by FireLog and other partners. Plus, it will present it will present all the wildfire-related events, conferences, congresses, workshops, etc. that we know and we think they are useful for the community to know. The goal here is to inform the various audiences, such as the wider scientific community, fire practitioners, government, decision makers, industry, or public, and make everyone give them the possibility to attend a conference or something. And also there is going to be the feature that anyone can upload an event. For example, if you hold an event that you would like to publish and you would like to promote, you can just put it in this calendar as a registered user, of course. So another function that we have already started developing is this case studies map. The case studies map will be a worldwide map where the authorized users can add case studies related to fire and update relevant information. Our goal is to create this map with case studies from all over the globe and with different projects. Also, let me play this button so you can move in and see your project, and we'll encourage all the case study leader to update frequently their progress, as well as we aim to provide the capability to register user to add new case studies. So which are the next steps in the development? We plan about the EU platforms. As we said, the communication booster will be a sub-page of existing EU dissemination platforms. So innovation actions will spread their results. Then we'll have the sci-face matching tool. It's going to be a tool to make it easier for scientists to match another person and start communicating and exchange information. The technology marketplace, which will be a display of different services and products. The measures, which is going to be the display of different measures, for example, lessons learned and participatory processes from the innovation actions, and the help desk. So here, very briefly, which is the reason to register to the platform. So a registered user will have, let's say, more advantages from a regular user. Everything is going to be visible to everyone, as we share this openness, and but Firelog wants to create a space where the user will be also an active member of the community. So therefore, the registered user will have some extra features, let's say, and we will offer to them a form where, for example, in the platform hub, they can add some information about their platforms, as we said, and we will embody them to the list of all existing platforms. The same will happen with the library, with the case studies map, the news, and the calendar, where the user can upload a closed event, for example. In that way, Firelog will create an active online community where the user will provide and also receive information about all these different events, news, and results. Finally, Firelog believes in sustainability after the project ends. So this is why the consortium believes it's very important to continue using and updating this platform. So after some meetings, we came to the conclusion to hand over this platform to the Pau Costa Foundation, that they already have the lessons on fire and is really well known in the community. So they will coordinate Firelog platform and keep it alive and continue to empower the community. We believe that by the end of the project, Firelog, together with Lessons on Fire, will have started to create a huge impact to the community and will help the projects and the scientists to have a better communication, have easy access to knowledge, and promote the results in order to achieve, of course, the EU goals until 2030. I think basically this is it. If there are any questions, I am happy to reply. I suppose Claudia too. So back to you, Harald.
Thank you, Maritza. That was exciting and very clear. Thank you. There are a couple of questions in the chat. You have been in dialogue, Claudia, with Shashak Virapat, but he says it's a very interesting presentation. The Firelog activities mentioned about the platform development. I would like to know if you have tried to make use of the International Firefighters Day, May 4th, each year to persuade worldwide connectivity to make impact among many stakeholder clusters you have identify. And he also asked who will manage the platform. I think it was more or less answered by you, Maritza, but can you clarify these two questions, Maritza and Claudia?
Okay, maybe I briefly go first. I typed the response already in the chat. I mean, I also sent a link. So we had one of the first joint social media campaigns together with the projects on 4th May to promote our collaboration. The platform is still under construction, as Marisa showed. So for sure, next year on 4th of May, there will be a more dedicated campaign, and step by step, as I showed, we are clustering the stakeholders. We're trying to understand what are the relevant partners in the projects, what are the networks beyond the projects. We'll then implement more dedicated campaigns and interactions with these stakeholder groups.
Thank you, Claudia. Anything you'd like to add, Maritza? Because the platform seems to be an interesting worldwide tool.
Yeah, I'm happy for this. I agree with everything that Claudia mentioned. And regarding who will manage the platform hub, so all the registered user can add information in this platform hub. And the one that you mentioned in the chat is not a part right now. I can forward this information and we can add it, of course. But when the platform is up and running, everyone can go in and just upload their own platforms, of course.
Thank you. We are at the end, but I still like both Anthony and Claudia to give a 1-minute comment on these are 4-year projects. They are complex projects with high ambitions. Where are we, Anthony? And what do we see of results so far? You're happy? It's a complex project to manage.
It is a big challenge, but at the same time, so far we are happy because developments in various work packages in terms of innovation action, deployment, and as well the activation of those 11 living labs with all stakeholders, the organizing communities, and deciding how those innovation actions will be deployed and tested. So far, that is going well. Of course, a project with 34 partners and 11 living labs in Europe beyond requires quite intensive monitoring, but so far it's going well. The task of our colleagues, Firelog, is as well helping, because I think it's very important that our project is well coordinated with the other 3. So this fire projects ongoing from the European Commission. So yes, that's my view, but there is no time to relax. I mean, the question will be to keep a sort of a strict track in the chronogram and in these Gantt charts we have. But it looks good. It looks good and challenging as well.
Thank you, Anthony. And I saw there were 2 questions. If you could, both of you can go in and see if you can answer them on the chat. And Claudia, 1-minute remarks at the end. We are pushed for time now.
Yeah, I tried to be short. Yeah, also from our side, I think it's going very well. It's really exciting to see, because we really have the bird's view, let's say, to understand what's going on in all the projects. And if we count it together, I think we have 60 case studies or more. And I really believe that the sum of the results can really unfold a large impact if we try to understand how we can upscale the results and where they play together in a useful manner. So yeah, I think it's a large amount of money that the European Commission is spending on these projects, but I completely believe that it's worth it and that we can deliver good results, specifically if we work together and synergize the results.
Thank you all. We took 5 minutes of the next, but that will be sorted out at the coffee time. Try to answer the chats, and thank you all. This was a very good session. Thank you. And over to you, Roman.
Thank you very much. I agree that was very exciting and very interesting to see. The level of collaboration, if it all works out, which I'm sure it will provide quite some amazing results. And ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the first session for today.